Well, what's up, Gideon's Tactical family? Welcome back to another video. And if you're like me, gear is a way of life. But I was recently thinking, I know, it's scary. What would I do if, God forbid, I lost everything? What? No! And all of my gear was lost, burned, stolen, you name it. And I had to start from scratch and rebuild my EDC system in 2023. And this thought experiment really helped highlight some key and essential gear items that I use or need on a daily basis. So we're gonna have some fun as I highlight the 7 gear items that I would jump on immediately. Now, to kick things off, what better piece of kit would there be to rebuild a system than with a multi-tool? Now, here's just a small sampling of the multi-tools I have used and owned over the years, from Victorinox to SOG and Gerber, and of course Leatherman. And even the iconic Leatherman Wave Plus would not be my first multi-tool that I would purchase. It would be the Leatherman Charge Plus with contoured G10 handle scales. So these usually come with a small bit kit, so I'm covered there. I would get a bit extension driver so I could reach in the tighter spots, and then I would upgrade to a MOLLE compatible pouch to carry it all. There are a few reasons. Number one is reliability. I picked this model up 2 years ago prior to leaving our home, piling my family into an RV and traveling for 13 months across America. If you ever have been a part of owning and or experiencing travel in an RV, you're constantly working on something, so I knew I would be using this constantly, and I have. That's followed up by the layout of tools. Not only do I get a better steel on the blade, S30V is an excellent steel, so I didn't have to tune it up as much, but also having this safety hook on a fully serrated blade and the bit driver and just several of the other tools that are integrated in, meaning there's yet to be a scenario that I've run into where this tool really couldn't handle the majority of light duty tasks. You may go, okay, well, why did you spend the extra money on a contoured G10 version? Well, not only does it look cool, this is the natural earth tone, which I believe is an exclusive to Sportsman Warehouse. You can get red and orange in this layout. Or there's just the generic, I believe, polymer that exists. This just gave me a little extra texture and grip without creating any of the sharp hot spots of the metal that you would get, say, on a Wave or a Surge and some of the other models that are out there. And it is a little bit lighter weight, and in combination with the pocket clip made it so that I could carry it in my pocket and not have to be confined to carrying it in a pouch. And to be honest, it would take a long time for me to run into a scenario where I would need to pick up another multi-tool. And I'm gonna leave a challenge for you guys to put a comment below and let me know the 7 gear items you would jump on if you had to restart your EDC system here in 2023. And make sure to smash that like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you can be notified every week when I post up a new video, so that you can stay up to date on new gear and equipment. Now, sometimes through thought experiments like this, you find that the simplest things are the most important things. And that couldn't be more true when it comes to my hat collection. I love baseball caps. I wear hats probably 80 to 90% of the time. And now, if I did lose everything, I would be very depressed because they no longer make this model of Outdoor Research caps. They are discontinued and you can't find them anywhere. And so I would have to go instead with the runner-up of my favorite hats, but would be the only ones that I could purchase, which would be the Magpul Trucker Garment Washed Collection. One of the main reasons is the fit. I'm super picky about my hats, and I prefer, when possible, structureless caps that don't have any rigid support up front. These don't have that, so they're a little bit more form-fitting, and I just like the way those tend to look on my head. Second would be variety. They have several different color combinations to choose from. And finally is the feel. Now, a lot of these trucker style hats, the mesh on the sides is really rigid and rough and can tend to chew up my ears pretty good. This is a soft texture and doesn't cause any undue pain or just irritation that I often find in other styles like this. I'd be interested to know how many of you out there are cap people, that you just tend to find yourself wearing a baseball cap more often than not. Now, next up is something that is super important because I grew up wearing them since I was a little kid, and it's a wristwatch, and it's a Garmin Instinct. And I appreciate every single one of you that recommended it a year ago when I was asking about a smartwatch. I had never owned one. And I said, hey, I need one that's about as rugged as a G-Shock, but is going to give me some of the features that a smartwatch offers. You guys recommended this one, and it has absolutely stood up to the test of time, and I'm very pleased with it. Not only will it sync with my phone if I want to do that through Bluetooth, it also has a lot of other workout features that can do step counting, heart rate. But as someone who's in the outdoors a lot, it also gives me the ability to not only get GPS coordinates onto my watch, gives me backtrack features on maps, as well as lets me know my altitude and a few other key attributes that I look for when I'm in the outdoors. Of course, the basic thing, giving you the time, letting you know what time it is. Now I have the plug-in version. There is a solar powered version. The plug-in version for me, when I have it disconnected from my phone and I'm using the satellite features a couple times a week, I find that I can go about 9 days before I need to plug it in. It has a quick charge, so in under 2 hours, it will fully recharge itself, which is a really nice touch. But if you think that you're gonna be someone who is gonna be syncing it with your phone to get those text messages and emails, or gonna be using the GPS coordinates and those other higher energy drawing activities daily, then I would suggest looking into the solar power option. Now this one was tricky because I prefer to have secondary illumination outside of just what our phones come with. And there's lots of things to consider. Headlamps, large tactical flashlights, compact keychains. And I really thought what I would need is something that I would absolutely know I would have on me at all times. And so that would have to be the Rovivon A series. Now I have the A1, and it's actually an old model that uses a micro USB charger. They now have USB-C charging options. And I love this flashlight. I've had it now for almost 9 months. It is super reliable. This thing's inexpensive, but still gives me quite a bit of punch. It's not this 100 lumen flashlight. I believe it has 650 currently on the high with a feature-rich setup. And I don't have to twist the head to activate it. It does have an activation button that functions really well. Never activates in my pocket. That's another really big key thing. I've had some great flashlights, but they tend to activate more often than they should in my flashlight. So when I need them, they're dead. This always seems to have the power when I need it, and it has the ability to be carried with me everywhere because of how compact and lightweight it is. So you guys know I'm a knife nut. I love knives. And so if that was gone and just obliterated, it would break my heart. So what pocket knife would I jumpstart the collection with? It's got to, cross over and be capable in a lot of different areas. Well, of course, it's a no-brainer. It would be the Cold Steel Raja 2. Everyone needs a good old-fashioned pocket machete. In all honesty, here are a few that really I began to filter through. And I had a lot of choices. I first thought of the Civivi Conspirator. Excellent blade, but it's really more of like an EDC knife, and this blade's got to do everything. It's got to play a self-defense role if necessary. I go hiking and camping and backpacking. It's got to be able to be good in the outdoors, and it's just got to be a general utility EDC knife as well. So I was like, that's not quite what I want. So then I went a little in the opposite direction, and I thought of the Recon 1 from Cold Steel. It's a brute, it's a monster. Great for heavy use, but it's a little lacking and pretty big, for EDC light duty tasks. Okay, well, so that's a little too big. So then I thought of the Manix 2 lightweight. It's been kind of one of my go-tos for ever. Right in that middle size range. It's fun. It's got a lot to work with, lots of different blade blade steels to choose from. And it's been kind of that one-stop shop for a long time for me, but I was like, now knowing what I know and just how I use knives a little differently, I prefer a high saber grind if possible, maybe a little less complex locking mechanism that I can see and work on if I had to. So none of these are really, scratching that itch of the one knife I would start with and then go with some of the, those would probably be the top 3, I would think, that I would go with after. But I can't believe I'm saying this. This is what I landed on, guys. Freaking Benchmade Redoubt. And I had a lot of critiques and some negative shade that I threw at this when I originally did the review. There were some amazing attributes, but the more I've used it, the more I've thought about it, and if this concept I'm like, it has everything I would want of my entire collection, anything in recent memory that I've used. About a 3.5-inch blade, perfect, not too big, not too small. High saber grind with a strong tip, but still very slicey, and will be outperforming, say, a Griptilian and blades like that. Got the traction I would need for a self-defense roll if necessary, or harder tasks, but still being lightweight at under 4 ounces. Able to work on the locking mechanism and, you know, the pivot if I need to, more so than, say, maybe that Spyderco. And one of the best deep ride loop over pocket clip designs I've seen in recent memory. I know it's not necessarily maybe the best value with CPM D2 steel, but it is American made. And after just having used it so much, it checks all those boxes of that utilitarian do everything tool, and really avails itself to be a building block to restart a pocket knife collection off of. And if you want to start using some of these gear items for yourself in your regular rotation, I will have hyperlinks in the description box below over to my affiliate networks where you can see all 7 of these items that we're breaking down today. Now, coming towards the home stretch, second to last thing would be your feet. What are you going to use to protect your feet and go out and live life to the fullest? You got to start over. And after really considering all of the different things that this pair of footwear would have to accomplish, I landed on these pair of boots that have done so much for me already, and I'm talking about the Danner 917 Logger models. These things are workhorses. Now, these are the Huckberry exclusives of the 917s, so they've tweaked them slightly, made them a little bit more comfortable than the generic models. So I can only speak to what these have done for me, but these boots had to do so much. You know, that not only did they have to look good, just taking my wife out, you know, to a nice meal on a date. You know, I want my footwear to match those type of occasions. So looking good and working hard at the same time, and these have accomplished that with flying colors. Not only are they leather uppers, Vibram soles, comfortable, Gore-Tex, so they're waterproof, and I have humped. I did a 9-mile hike through the ice and snow in like 29 degrees, I think is what it was, with my dad recently. We're actually seeing some of the footage. These were awesome. These were freaking awesome. And I just had thick wool socks on. You know, I wouldn't go much lower than that in temperature, but they got a 9-mile multi-hour hike in through pretty rugged backcountry Colorado terrain. And so they need to be cleaned up, but they're ready to rock and roll again and look great, you know, going out to dinner and doing, you know, just some, if you will, nicer, more dressed up stuff. And these would be the ones that I could do a lot of my activities with and could at least get me started. All right, last but not least, a lot of my life involves going from place to place. So what's going to be the bag that could accomplish the most and be your jack of all trades? It probably won't excel at any one thing, but can do a lot. And I've come to appreciate and understand the value of my 511 AMP 12. The AMP series is a very modular series from 511. It's built into a low profile layout, so it's not a super heavy duty tactical pack. It's not a dedicated hiking bag, but I could easily do with this 12 hours, what they call it. It's a 25-liter bag. It's set up that I could easily strap tripods to, carry several gear items and all my camera equipment, water, med kits, and go on a full day hike easily. Even though it wouldn't be the most comfortable of all of the packs I own for that type of scenario, it could absolutely handle that load well, and it's built well for that. But in reverse, I could pack it out with my camera gear, my laptop, and several other documents and papers that I would need in my EDC kit, and then run around town and go to a coffee shop or the library and, you know, do a bunch of a more quote-unquote digital work. And then simultaneously use it as a go bag. I have 2 currently in each of our vehicles that are loaded out as go bags, but also as a travel bag. I could easily get a 4-day weekend, long extended weekends worth of clothing and attire and supplies to go have an out-of-town business meeting, or you know, to go to see family. So I could do that with this bag all together. And there's a lot of modularity that these offer, that you can kind of structure them how you want to. And of course, long term, I would get like a dedicated commuting bag, a dedicated, you know, day hiking bag, and then a backpack for overnight adventures. But to start it all off and to have the springboard to do the things that I need to on a daily basis, I think this bag would be my first choice. And that brings us to the end of the video. I look forward to hearing all of your guys' comments, and I invite you again to share your list of 7 that you would, gear items that you would use. And always remember that gear helps us to overcome challenges and enjoy the adventures of life, but it's about life itself, not just the gear. Check out the other video popping up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.